just because she means well, and that feeds into the whole intent matters idea that both the show and community are pushing really hard. In reality, however, it's only your actions that are real.
You sure we're watching the same show? Let's get this out of the way. MLP is a show that loves its friendships and, to a lesser extent, its redemptions. Which is mildly unfortunate as it tends to fall into the same trap Batman's no-kill rule allows DC to avoid. But other than that, I don't think this is actually a serious problem to complain about. I have a theory that the minds of the ponies in the show are vastly different from the minds of the humans who live in the real world. This might be inferred from the fact that they need a princess to help them through nightmares, but it is also clear if you analyze and contrast their different methods of conflict resolution. So let's compare and contrast Starlight Shimmer and Sunset Glimmer, and also Darla Dimple and Adolf Hitler. And then we'll talk about Q, because I like him. So let's start with Starlight, Sunset, Snapshot redemptions, drawn out redemptions, and the innate difference between humans and ponies. Now I know what you're thinking. But Jesse, both of these characters are completely different in almost every way. No? Just me? Okay. Main difference between Sunset and Starlight is in their respective redemptions. Sunset had a textbook snapshot redemption at the end of Equestria Girls, while Starlight had to learn empathy and to respect human rights. Has Equestria not heard of therapists? That would have really jogged on, Starlight's act, but whatever. Another noteworthy thing was the reception of the redemptions. You see, it all comes down to where they are while they are going through said redemptions. Sunset was in the equestrian human world, which isn't the exact same as our world, but and Starlight was in Equestria. While Twilight was confident in Sunset's redemption to the point of leaving her essentially unchecked in the human world, the humans were not so ready to forgive despite Sunset's redemption and lack of relapses. Meanwhile, Starlight was talked down when she realized her actions had massive consequences regarding the destruction of Equestria. I'd complained that she didn't know about this, but then I remember that she essentially lived in an isolated town. And then I immediately remember that she was essentially stalking Twilight throughout the entire season, so how did she not realize how badly this will go? You know what? Whatever. Anyway, she was still not very good at maintaining that redemption. She was far too eager to use magic on others if she thought it would help, which came to a head in every little thing she does, where she learns not to use magic on others, sort of. And yeah, she relapses and uses it on the Royal Sisters, which when she thinks she might fail, which I think is the perfect amalgamation of pulling a Starlight, a Twilight, and a Stupid simultaneously. But, everyone loved that episode, so what do I know? It all comes to a head when she winds up being the one offering redemption to someone else. That, as far as I'm concerned, is the end of her actual redemption arc. Sure, Chrysalis refuses, but that's for a different section. Everything else, I chalk up to the fact that MLP is an Aesop-driven show that often relies on characters doing stupid things and defending children from a jealous god. The takeaway is, despite the actions and realities of both characters, the humans only cared for the negative actions. That's putting it a little mean, but it's still kind of accurate. And the ponies put more emphasis on the desire to become a better person. This, I feel, emphasizes the difference in how humans act and how ponies act. Ponies are infinitely more forgiving, for better or worse. And if there are any ponies who can relate to someone feeling when it comes to friendship and taking lessons to heart, it's the characters with 5 seasons of television in a show about becoming better friends under their belt. And as for the remaining Equestria Girls villains, I don't know, the MCs have a little pony in them. I haven't watched any of them. And they might actually poke holes in my theory. But a difference in reaction to one's redemption is not the only difference I wish to point out. It's not even the reason I made this video. I was thinking more along the lines of Cozy, Glow, and Neisei. Who I surprisingly have less to talk about. The two of them show how the willingness to change for the better is what really makes the ponies likely to forgive you. Now, one thing I'd like to note is the gravity of their crimes. Cozy tried to steal all the magic in Equestria and crown herself empress, and Neisei tied up some kids because he's a xenophobic asshole who suspected them of foul play. Noted? Good. Another major influence in the redemption of ponies or basically anyone in the show, is their desire to be redeemed. Sure, Neisei is quite xenophobic, but let's face it, so is Equestria. Have you seen Dragon Quest? And I may be wrong, but I think To Change a Changeling had some racism coding involved. Neisei was just incredibly unsubtle about it. But the same thing that usually happened. They get put in a position to learn that they are wrong and are quite receptive to the idea. Contrast this with Cozy, who is essentially a Saturday morning cartoon villain through and through and shows no desire to change. She gets locked up in Tardos because, of course she does. Mean? Yes, but that is the standard reaction to an unrepentant criminal who might actually be charged with terrorism if you really think about what they did. We're just so used to the actual repentant villain that the idea of punishment kind of throws you off. That and the image of a child in what some might think is hell. It's not hell, but you know. So let's get back to the show's second attempt at a redemption. Discord, Lord of Chaos. Discord actually fixes my two biggest problems with both previous sections. Firstly, the pony's speed at forgiveness. Discord, by its very nature, is an unsettling person. He thrives off chaos and confusion and causes it wherever he goes. Suspicious would be putting it nicely when you really think of how most people would react to him. And that's exactly what happened. Even after his own redemption, most of the main six remain highly suspicious of him. Sure, there's backfires later, but it does show that simply saying you're now a good person is not enough to actually convince people that you're on the up and up. Look, what I'm trying to say is that blind trust isn't really a problem, as ponies are still capable of maintaining some suspicion. I'm just saying that as a society, they are very quick to forgive. And regarding the disregard for ponies that reject redemption, Discord also proves that rehabilitation is a thing. I mean, think about it. They attempted to and succeeded at redeeming the Lord of Chaos after he almost destroyed their friendship and ruined Equestria. I'm not sure that I'm sure that after making her think about what she done, they would happily extend the same opportunity to the Little Terror. Of course, then season 9 happened, so yeah. Also, timeline-wise, this is after the second episode came out. So you're right, Lily. Actions matter. But the shows you're talking about also put serious emphasis on intentions and a willingness to try to be a better person. Ignoring that is to miss the point. Unless you disagree with that moral, in which case I don't know what to say. I'm not accusing you, I'm just saying that. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, rewatch, and check out all my other videos. Thank you and good night.